Greetings. Now this is part 2 of the pandemic because there's some information I neglected to share with you in part 1. And I didn't want to forget to share it with you because it is information that supports what I was sharing with you in part 1. I don't want you to be led in thinking or believing that I'm talking, just a bunch of hogwash and I don't know what I'm talking about. I want you to also know that everything I share, everything I recommend is because of experiences personally and professionally. I mean, I've seen it, I've heard it, not just within myself, but professionally among a lot of the people I work with one-on-one. So, there was a doctor, Dr. Josephine Hilgard, back in the 1900s, who discovered that there are anniversary reactions triggered at an anniversary of a significant event in a person's life, which triggers the unresolved emotions experienced back then. For example, the death of a loved one, a divorce, an injury, etc., where unresolved, unrepaired emotions still exist and are being triggered at a specific month and date, whether it's a year from now or 10 years from now, that's being triggered at around the same time, month and date. So some possibilities to consider would be 1. For example, a child who reaches the age of, let's say, the mother, who experienced the death of a loved one or something traumatic that resulted in unrepaired, unresolved emotions because she was pregnant with you at the time that she experienced this. So whether you are a double, which plays also a factor in that, but doesn't necessarily need to be so, because we tend to absorb what the mother is experiencing while we are in womb. Now, another possibility would be, are the imbalances experienced by you or others during when COVID began a year ago, which is right around the corner, which will be a year, in the next couple of weeks or so? Are these emotions or reactions that you're experiencing really due to COVID or some traumatic experience of an ancestor you're a double of that's being triggered, that is being triggered per se around the time, month and date that COVID began in 2020? Then, number 3. Are the traumas that you experienced last year, almost a year ago, based really on COVID and don't involve the ancestors? Maybe. 4. This is a question. Did something traumatic happen to you around the same month and date of 2020 COVID that are now being triggered by COVID itself because of the time and date? That maybe that never happened. Maybe the time and date has to do, or rather the month and date has something to do that happened many years ago, but here we are. Perhaps. These are all possibilities. Now, in part 1, I mentioned in the end, what I said was the immune system I created didn't imply that it would prevent infection of COVID. So let me correct that. What I meant to say was the immune system meditation that I created didn't ever imply that you would not be infected. But I did say that perhaps it would help you to rise above it much faster. And then last but not least, this is just a question I've asked myself that I'm kind of running by all of you. Are vaccinations really the answer to it all? Maybe, maybe not, but I guess we'll find out. Now, I'm just saying. Now, I keep repeating this. Please create your family ancestral tree if you are really committed, as I have stated, and really want to explore and discover a lot of what is affecting you, your children, your significant other, extended family, etc., etc. I mentioned that you would have to do the work. So what that means is, number one, create a family ancestral tree. Number two, listen to the information I'm sharing with you. And number three, dig and find out what you need to know by exploring your family ancestral tree. That's it. Simple. That's what you would have to do. So there you go. And as always, be well.